Even though we always want to win, we cannot control the market. We cannot control the result. So, at its core, we will always only be the person making trading decisions, whether to enter or exit, whether to go long or short, what lot size to use, when to take profit, and when to cut the loss. But how the result turns out still has to wait for the probability of the market to play out. Everything is only probability. Every piece of reasoning, every prediction, and every trade entry can be right or wrong. You will never truly know when it will be right or when it will be wrong. And you do not need to know. You do not need to keep trying to know. And you absolutely cannot place everything on a trade simply because you think it will move this way or that way, because you are not the one controlling and returning the result of that trade. The market does that. And the market does that according to probability. Whether you enter that trade or not, the outcome will still unfold according to probability. It is not because of you. It is not for you. The result happens simply because the market is executing its own probability equation. So understand this deeply. If the result is returned according to the probability of the market, then the result comes from the market's movement according to its own probability. We certainly cannot interfere with it. In any market movement, whether we enter a trade or not, the outcome of that movement will not change. We simply do not know what the outcome will be. So we must stop looking only at the result. We must stop endlessly searching for a method or a trading style that must always win, always generate profit. Instead, you must truly understand and accept that results are returned randomly according to some form of probability. Therefore, there will always be winning trades and losing trades. So what remains for you is to focus on the trading process. For the probability equation to be executed objectively, the data must be consistent. The market has its own way of collecting and processing data. We do not know all of it, and we do not need to know all of it. What matters is that we understand this. The market is also operating through a probability equation. As for us, if we want to survive for the long term and become profitable, then we must know how to rely on the probabilistic nature of the market to build a system, how to flow with the probabilistic nature of the market to generate profit, and how to build our trading truth and trading mindset around that probability. Within a system, besides the trading time frame, lot size, take-profit ratio, stop-loss ratio, maximum daily loss, and other risk parameters, the trading method itself is also extremely important. You already know that each trading method will produce a different probability of winning and losing, depending on its own entry and exit conditions and requirements. What we need is to apply a method, a system, that has the potential to generate profit over the long term. You understand this clearly, don't you? Then your job is to trade that exact method, that exact system, consistently, so that its probability of success and failure can actually be executed. Remember this carefully. I said the probability of success and failure of the method and the system must be executed, not that we should expect only the winning probability to appear. There must be losing trades. There must be losing days. We must learn to accept them. The important thing is not to let a few losing trades cause us to lose control. Trade too aggressively, stack trades, reverse positions, and chase price continuously. Think about it simply like this. In a probabilistic market where anything can happen, then within the system and method we apply consistently, losing trades must appear. That is normal. That is natural. That reflects the true nature of the market. But if we only want to win, and always want to win, then we will forever be chasing something unrealistic. So, in order to survive for the long term and achieve stable profitability, there is only one solution. We must maintain stability and consistency in the trading process so that the win-loss probability of the system can be executed as objectively as possible. In other words, we must control the trading process to ensure stability and consistency instead of trading while obsessively trying to control the result, obsessively chasing wins and allowing ourselves to be pulled into the endless flow of opportunities in the market. Trade consistently according to one system. Use a defined number of trades. Maintain a stable lot size. Make sure the maximum daily loss is preserved. Keep the take-profit ratio consistent and within a realistic range that can be achieved according to the technical analysis. Only then can we comfortably accept the results of the days when the probability of the system and method returns losses. At the same time, if we win, the win also remains within control. We do not make an unusually large amount of money in an explosive way that creates excessive excitement and makes us want to enter trades uncontrollably. And most importantly, when we lose within control. There are no destructive losses. There are no sudden, oversized losses. We only lose a stable, controlled amount each day. From there, we are protected from being pulled into the spiral of frustration and resentment toward the market. We can let go of the desire to recover losses immediately, and we can let go of the desire to fight the market. Especially, what I want to say is this. With any method that is traded consistently, it is possible to calculate its win-loss probability once there are enough trades, at least 100 trades executed consistently according to that system. But if the trades are taken in a way where each method only has a few trades, or some trades do not follow any method at all, and then all of them are thrown into the same data basket for evaluation, then it will certainly be impossible to calculate the success probability of that way of trading properly. Why do I say that calculating the success probability of a trading style or trading system is important? Because the reason is simple. The market is probabilistic. We only need to understand this. We do not need to keep trying to know what will happen next, because if this is a game of probability, then trying to guess the next outcome does not truly solve anything. The result is still random. We cannot control the market and force it to return the outcome we want. Therefore, this is when we must firmly hold on to a system built on the understanding of probability, a system that allows losing trades to appear together with winning trades as a natural part of trading, a system that accepts losses as an objective result that reflects the probabilistic nature of the market, a system that also operates through probability but has been evaluated for its potential to generate profit over the long term based on a certain win-loss probability and a certain risk-to-reward ratio, depending on the method being applied. The system or trading method we use will always have a probability of winning and losing within a certain range. There is no system where every single trade always wins 100% of the time. And there is also no method where every single trade always has a 100% probability of losing. We often hear phrases such as, "The win rate of this method is around 60%. In that case, the losing probability would be around 40%. This number is only an approximate range. It is not guaranteed to be exactly that, but generally, it will stay somewhere around that area with certain variations, and wins and losses are random. We do not know when we will win. We do not know when we will lose. But one thing is more certain. If, with that kind of win-loss ratio, the system applies a suitable risk-to-reward ratio so that the winning trades are larger than the losing trades, perhaps 1 to 2, 1 to 3, depending on the method and the system, then it can still be a system with an edge, one that can generate profit for the trader over the long term. If you have traded before, you will understand very clearly what I am about to share next. There are many setups that feel almost certain to win, where you feel there is no reason for the trade to lose, yet you can still lose. There are many setups you doubt, even setups that do not follow any system or method, yet the market still moves very far, and if you had traded them, you could have won big. Sometimes you look at a candle movement and feel certain that price will go long, but the result is that it goes short, and vice versa. Many times you hesitate for different reasons and do not have confidence in a trade, yet that trade succeeds. Meanwhile, the trade you feel confident entering ends in a loss. Many times you force yourself to enter because you think the previous moves were wrong and this time you will be right. But in the end, you are still wrong. And there are also times when you think the move has not ended yet, that it cannot reverse yet, so you do not dare to catch the reversal. But then the market reverses strongly from that exact point. There are times when you accidentally enter a trade and feel regret because you know you have not followed the system properly, yet that trade becomes a big and fast winner. And there are times when you carefully calculate, analyze, and feel certain that the trade follows this method and that system correctly, so you enter. But then you still lose. Very familiar, isn't it, my friends? A trade you think will go long. Sometimes it really does go long, but sometimes it drops sharply instead. A trade you think will go short. Sometimes it goes long instead, but sometimes it really does go short. Everything keeps moving between right and wrong, sometimes right, sometimes right, then wrong, sometimes wrong, then right, sometimes right, and then right again, but sometimes wrong, then wrong again, and then wrong again. Do you see these things appearing in your trading process, in many of the trades you have taken before? That is the story of probability, my friends. What we think can sometimes be very right and sometimes very wrong. Sometimes we are right continuously. Sometimes we are wrong continuously. Sometimes wins and losses alternate. It is precisely this unpredictable nature that makes everything on the chart appear clear, while the result can still be very difficult to accept. And sometimes everything looks unclear, but the result makes us feel extremely excited. But it is also because of this that our trading decisions can become very easily influenced, because anything can happen. We do not know exactly when something is truly right enough to trade, or when something is wrong enough to avoid. Even when you have a clear trading system and a specific method, you still cannot know which trade will win and which trade will lose. So imagine how difficult it becomes when many traders are trading with many different methods, or sometimes with no method at all. Many times, you may even feel frustrated because the market does not seem to follow any fixed pattern of movement. And we, as human beings, always hope for good things. We always see opportunities and try to seize them. We always place our belief in potential wins. We often look only toward profit. We often look only at the positive side of the idea that anything can happen. From there, we enter trades in an uncontrolled and unstable way, exactly like the instability the market has shown us. We keep spinning around in long and short, right and wrong, winning and losing, profit and loss, until we do not even realize when we have been manipulated. Usually, only when we have lost too much money, when the account has been stopped, or when the account has been blown, do we start wanting to look for a solution. Oh, this is exactly what I had been wanting to write down since May 31st, 2026. I had been writing around it for so long, and only now can I finally express it clearly here to share with you. You will realize one thing: nothing can truly control the result of a trade. Right, my friend? Nothing can do that. All results are returned according to the market's probability equation. No matter how much you want something, no matter how you analyze, no matter what method you use or what trading bot you rely on, no matter how angry you are, how frustrated you are, how excited you are, how comfortable or confident you feel, no matter whether you follow someone else's high probability signal, and no matter what the news may be, the result will still remain random. It will not always support you, but it will not always go against you either. It is only probability. Sometimes it will be long. Sometimes it will be short. Sometimes you will make profit. Sometimes you will lose money. But when it will be long or short, when you will win or lose, will forever remain a story of probability that cannot be known in advance. If the market truly works that way, if it truly is a game of probability, then you certainly would not want the moment when you are chasing price, adding more positions, and reversing trades to be the exact moment when you fall into the losing side of probability, would you? And you certainly would not want the moment when you trade smaller to be the moment when you fall into the winning probability, but the moment when you stack a large lot size to be the moment when you fall into the losing probability, would you? You also certainly would not want the moment when you are stacking trades and reversing positions to recover a previous loss to become another moment when you fall into the losing probability again, would you? And you certainly would not want the trade where you go all in to fall exactly into the losing probability, would you? You also certainly would not want to make a large profit from several winning probability trades, only to lose everything in just one or two trades that fall into the losing probability, would you? And surely you do not want to keep losing like that forever, do you, my friend? No one wants those things. But we are still sinking into the very things we already know clearly that we should avoid. The difference here is stability, control, consistency. To avoid repeating the things we do not want above, stability, control, and consistency with the system must become the highest priorities in the trading process. As long as we win and lose in a stable, consistent way according to the system, without extreme fluctuations in results, then our emotions and psychology can also remain stable. And when our emotions and psychology are stable, the trading process can finally move along the path it was meant to follow, trade consistently according to the system. Let the market's probability equation answer the result. Only when we do it right and remain consistent with the trading system can the win-loss probability of the method and the system with an edge have the chance to play out. And only when that win-loss probability is allowed to play out objectively can we have the opportunity to achieve stable, sustainable, long-term profitability. But if after only a few losing trades, we become frustrated and change methods, or start stacking trades and reversing positions continuously, then at that point, we are trading without control again, reacting to the movements of the market. Or if after a few winning trades, we become overly excited, add more positions, enter more trades, and become confident that we will keep winning, then at that point, greed has already taken control of the trading process. The result will be clear. When we are winning and making profit, the destination feels unlimited. There seems to be no boundary at all. Greed has no bottom, and we can keep staying there with the market forever. But what happens when we lose? Our capital is limited. The money in our account has an ending point. So no matter how much money we have won, if we do not know how to control ourselves, then according to the probability of the market, if there are wins, there will eventually be losses. And if we can win a lot, then we can also lose a lot. When we start losing, the amount of money in the account decreases. The psychological and emotional pressure becomes heavier. We become much more vulnerable to losing control. At that point, the destructive way of trading is often activated as a solution to recover losses. But because the market is probabilistic, a solution that may sometimes produce a good result will also have times when it leads to losses. And when we stack trades with the hope of winning big, if the result is a loss, we can very easily lose everything. That is the result of lacking stability, lacking control, and lacking consistency. The probabilities of winning and losing cannot be known in advance. But once we lose control while trading, then the moment the losing probability appears, it can become the starting point for the next sequence of heavy losses. So, to summarize everything up to this point, every problem has become very clear. Everything has become very obvious. The thing I found the hardest to explain, the hardest to write down, and the hardest to unlock, I was finally able to say it and write it out today. These were the thoughts that had been trapped in my mind for such a long time. There was something important there, but it was difficult to express clearly enough for myself to visualize it, understand it, and absorb it more deeply. Over the past few days, I kept writing in a wandering way, writing down all my thoughts, but I still could not bring the real issue out into the open with clarity. But today, I have finally written it clearly. I wrote it to share with you, but I also wrote it for myself, for the version of me that has already experienced so much, already understood so much, already known so much, yet still has not been able to master and control my own trading process. By today, I truly feel that this is enough. This journey has lasted almost 2 years. It has already been very long. I must push myself into a new chapter. I must act. I must be proactive. I must be strong. I must be firm and decisive. I cannot keep stopping only at understanding. I cannot keep staying only in theory, only in my thoughts. It is time to truly take action. I said this once before, and now I will say it again here. Do not let every day continue to drift endlessly into long journal pages filled with explanation and self-blame. It is time for everything to become simple and clear, consistency with the system. It is time for the real work of trading to be found in controlling the process and remaining consistent with the system, not in sitting for hours writing journal entries like this anymore. It is time to give freedom and ease back to my mind after each trade, instead of carrying anxiety, overthinking, uncertainty, and insecurity after consecutive losing trades. It is time for trading to truly begin with the complete acceptance of the probabilistic nature of the market. It begins with the firm acceptance of trading consistently according to the system, so that the win-loss probability of the system can be executed. This is the path towards stable, long-term, and sustainable profitability. It is also the solution for overcoming every weakness I have ever had. Because only when we understand the probabilistic nature of the market can we comfortably trade consistently according to the system. allowing the win-loss probability of the system to be executed as objectively as possible. And only then can real profit have the opportunity to come into our hands.